You're listening to the Word Slinger Podcast, episode 20, Never Leave the Playground, with Stephen Jepson.
This episode of the Word Slinger Podcast is brought to you by Happy Pants Books. Are you a coach, consultant, or keynote speaker who needs to publish or perish? Get your ideas out of your head and onto the page. Visit happypantsbooks.com.
It's the Word Slinger Podcast, where story matters. Build your brand, write your book, redefine who you are. It's all about the story here. What's yours? Now, here's the guy who invented Pants Optional, Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger.
Word Slinger.
Hey everybody, this is Kevin Tomlinson, the Word Slinger, and I am so glad you're back because I've been sitting here the whole time just waiting for you to show up. It was a lonely week, so if you listened in last week with my interview with John Kovalik, you heard me announce that I was going to be talking to this guy. Today I'm going to be playing my interview with Stephen Jepson, and this guy is amazing. I mean, he's a dynamo. He's so energetic. I honestly, I could not keep up with him. I basically just, handed the mic over and let him do his thing for, 45 minutes or so. This guy's 74 years old. He literally will run circles around me. I mean, he does marathons and he does triathlons, and, he's actually set up a sort of training ground in his backyard that he uses to keep physically fit, but also mentally fit, which is more the focus of his work. He has a program he calls Never Leave the Playground. And the idea there is, he gets his clients or anybody, he's really out to help everybody, but he gets people involved in doing these physical activities that help them sort of rewire their brain and increase their sort of cognitive growth. So, it's amazing. It's a fascinating interview, and I've actually started implementing some of the things that he talked about. I was this close to buying a lunch tray at IKEA the other day. I probably should have, but you'll know what I mean, by the way, when you actually hear the interview. So if you are interested in learning more about Stephen Jepson, you should trot on over to his website at neverleavetheplayground.com. But you'll get more of that in the interview. For now, why don't we jump in, because this is a high-energy, high-impact interview, and when you leave it, you're going to feel like going out and doing something good for yourself. See you on the other side. Hi, everybody. Here we are. Again, I'm going to introduce to you somebody. I actually caught a video of this guy on Facebook, and it was so inspiring that I immediately went and tracked him down and asked him to be on the show, because I know that you guys would love to hear from him. And that is Stephen Jepson, who has he's developed something he's calling Never Leave the Playground. And we're going to get into some more details on that from him. But first, I just wanted to say, give a big welcome to you, Stephen. Thanks for being on the show, and thanks for talking to me.
Oh, thank you very much, Kevin, for having me. I really appreciate it. You're welcome, sir.
So I wanted to talk to you. This show is all about story. It's all about how it shapes our careers and our lives and our culture. And there's a story of fitness, and we've been telling ourselves one story for years, that as you get older, you slow down and you just can't help it. It's just going to be you and a sofa at some point. So, but you kind of jump in and say that that's not quite true. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your Never Leave the Playground idea here?
Okay. Well, first of all, you're dead on. It's not true that we have to slow down as we grow older. I've broken my right arm 3 times. The most recent was last June 20th in a bicycle accident. And the first 2 before that were skating accidents. And I broke my left one very severely skating, and they had to put pins and a plate in it. Anyway, I did that when I was about 68. I learned to tightrope walk when I was 55. I learned to snowboard at 60. At 69, I rode ragbri for the first time. Do you know ragbri?
No, I don't. What is that?
That's a bicycle ride across the state of Iowa. I live in Florida now and have for the last 43 years, but I found out about this ragbri. It's the largest sanctioned bicycle event in the world. There were 10,000 of us, and we ride from the western side of Iowa, which is bordered by the Missouri River, to the eastern side, which is bordered by the Mississippi. You dip your back tire in Missouri River and take off. Anyway, it's a week-long, 450-mile bicycle ride. I did it the first time at 69, the seventh time at 70. So, and there's nothing special about me, Kevin, at all. I just chose to do these things. And anybody can choose to do these things at any moment in time in their life, and you can start today with something very simple and easy, and then progress and have the experience of getting better on a day-to-day basis. And here's how it goes.
Okay.
For 1,800,000 years, we human beings and our ancestors were something called hunter-gatherers. And for 1,800,000 years, we got better and better at hunter-gathering. And up until 300 years ago, the majority of every human on the planet was still hunter-gatherers. And you go back 100 years, and the majority of us, before the automobile got so strong, we all walked a lot. And so here we are. And in the 50s, when I was growing up, I thought what people do is they just work hard their lifetime, retire at 65, and then sit on the front porch and in the rocking chair and watch the grandchildren play in the front yard. And that's wrong. It's crucial. Okay, so we were hunter-gatherers for all this time, and today there are still hunter-gatherers on the planet in the Amazon jungle and in some places in Africa. And these people are all lean, and they are all, if they hunter-gatherers that had modern dentistry. Oh, actually, they didn't have caries because they didn't have enough sweets to have tooth decay. But if they had modern medicine, and so their bones could be fixed and they could be stitched up when they got hurt, everybody would have lived to be 75, 80, 90 years old, and they would all have been lean. There was no such thing as a sedentary hunter-gatherer. There was no sitting on the front porch and in a rocking chair watching the children in the front yard. All of our lives as hunter-gatherers, we were constantly on the move to get food. We needed to move on a regular basis to get food. There was no refrigeration, so we couldn't keep anything for a long period of time. We weren't farming. Only started agriculture 11,000 years ago, and so we couldn't store up grain or anything, so we were constantly on the move. We human beings were born to move. We were born to be physically active. Now, and as hunter-gatherers, we were barefoot for much of that history. We were careful where we placed our feet. Do you know what fire ants are?
I do. Yes,
okay.
I do.
Well, when I'm up in front of my audiences, I say, how many young tykes went over and stood calf deep or knee deep in a fire ant hill? How many times does a young child do that?
I've done it at least once, so.
Yeah, once. Okay, once. And how many times would a young child pick up and handle a live scorpion?
Probably just the once.
Probably just once.
Yeah.
So we were very careful, and our parents would have schooled us probably against both of those, even as hunter-gatherers. But so we were careful about where we placed our feet. We used both hands in our hunter and gathering, so both hands were well trained. It turns out that the brain is trained by the movement of our feet and our hands. And the more varied the movement of your feet and your hands, the richer the brain. For a long time, scientists, I was a pre-med and pre-dent in college, and I was taught that perhaps at the age of 5, we had all of the brain cells we were ever going to have in our lives, and from then on it was just a deterioration of constant loss of brain cells till the time we died, from the time we were 5 years old. And we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them. So we could lose them and lose them and lose them, but we But that's not the case. Dr. Gage and his cohorts figured out in 1998, which is relatively recently, they did a study. They took some people who were very, very ill. They're older people who were very, very ill, and they were going to die, but these people had the sense of how important it might be for Gage to do his work, so they allowed him to put a tracker in their blood. And this tracker affixed itself to new young brain cells. And these people were sick, and they died. And they allowed an autopsy on their noggins, and when they cut them up and looked in their brains, these people were growing new brain cells the day before they died. We can grow new brain cells all of our lives, and what I have done is come up with a supercharged way of growing new brain cells, and it turns out that our feet are just as trainable as our hands, and that's without a thumb. We can do absolutely remarkable things with our feet. Have you ever seen videos of people with no arms or with doing absolutely spectacular things on YouTube or on the internet?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So it turns out that people play the guitar with their feet. People play the piano with their feet. People repair their automobile, take care of babies with no arms, just with their feet. So it turns out all of our feet are pretty stupid, pretty not very well trained, except for maybe hacky sack players or soccer players. Some very few athletes probably have pretty well trained feet, but the rest of us, we wear these thick old shoes that keep us from getting clues and information from our environment. And anyway, so mostly we are training our hands, and we train our hands to do everything from knitting and crocheting to brain surgery and mumbly peg and using chopsticks and knife and fork and so forth. Okay, so when we're born, we come out of our mama's tummy, and you take a newborn baby. In my talk, I get up and lay down on the table. I got a cordless mic on, and I'm laying down on the table, and I say, so we were just born, and we cannot even lift our head up off the table. We can't even lift our head up off the table the day we're born. And then at 9 months passes, the majority of us can walk, and then by 2 we can take quick steps. We can run. We can kick a ball. We can go upstairs, downstairs, and then at 3, and when I do this. When I'm in front of an audience, I squat way down and put my hand up high, like I'm walking with my parents' hand in mine, and I say, "Our parents, take us to this new place." And at this new place, there are giants running around, and these giants are screaming, and they're yelling, and they're laughing, and they're just having a wonderful time. And these giants are on teeter-totters, and they're on swings and merry-go-rounds and monkey bars, and they're kicking balls and throwing hoops, and they're playing with this and they're playing with that. And those giants are 5 years old, and they're 6 years old, and they're 7 and 8 and 9, and we join them, and then we begin to hone all of those skills that we learned on the playground. And then at 12 or whatever, a lot of us leave the playground, and I happen to be an All-American swimmer in high school, so I competed in swimming, and a lot of people in your audience will have played tennis or horseback ridden or played football or basketball or baseball or soccer or whatever, continued to do things through high school, and some even in college. However, we get to college, and now we begin to sit down a lot. Yeah. And it turns out that Dr. Joan Vernikos, the woman that rehabilitated the astronauts when they came back from space, who has endorsed me, she said that you are the embodiment of everything I've been teaching for 30 years. Anyway, she's written a book called Sitting Kills Moving Heals. It's a wonderful book, and I highly recommend it to your audience. Anyway, she said that it's death. The sedentary behavior is a long, slow slide to a very unhealthy lifetime and leads to death. There was the study called the Australian study, I believe, where the femoral artery, first of all, that goes down the inside of the groin, down the inside of our leg, that is large enough to put your thumb in. And I've been in surgery when doctors were taking blood clots out of people's legs to help them keep their legs or to help them. Anyway, so people sit down. That even good athletes sit down for a long, long time, and they develop something called something thrombosis, deep vein thrombosis, DVT, and they develop deep vein thrombosis, and they don't know it. They don't know how this happened, and they stand up, and this gelatinous blood clot spot, the size of their end of their thumb, gets torn, gets loose in their body, goes to their lungs, their heart, or their brain. They are dead when they hit the floor, and they were healthy people. Anyway, the secret, Kevin, is to keep moving. But if you want to offset dementia, if you want to put the odds in your favor, you can do what that guy down there in Florida teaches, this hand and foot training that is easy and fun, like we did as children. I start out with very, very simple, basic stuff, basic exercises, and I go through at my Never Leave the Playground site. They can find all about they can find out all about that. Now you know everything I know, Kevin.
You know, you are very energetic. I feel like I could just let you go, and that's the show, everybody. I don't even have to ask you any questions.
No, you're holding me back, Kevin. I'm just sorry. No, this is very sweet. What you're doing for your audience, this is pivotal. This is what the information I'm sharing is absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
And we think, oh gosh, we got all these modern conveniences. Our modern conveniences are killing us.
Yeah.
At my talk, I travel with this suitcase full of stuff. In fact, I'm being flown to Reykjavik, Iceland, and Thailand this spring, plus a lot of places in America to deliver my talk. But anyway, when I go in, and one of the things I do in my talk is I sit down in a chair, I put my feet up on a table, and I take this plastic bag, and I dump all of these things out on the table, and the people in the front row, the people that are close to me, can see and I say, what are these here? And people say, oh, those are cordless phones or cell phones or they're remotes. And I say, perfect. And I reach over and I begin to grab hold of them. I say, and I've got a remote for the lights, and I've got a remote for the fan, and I've got a remote for the TV, and I've got a remote for the record player, and I've got a remote for the garage door. I've got a remote to start my car. I've got remotes. I don't even have to move. And it's totally bass-ass backwards. They need to move. We need to get up and move on a regular basis. And beyond that, if people will just train their hands to do new things. For instance, I'll be 74 soon, and in my 73rd year, I learned to juggle clubs, which is kind of difficult. And this year, I'm learning to juggle 4 items and punching a speed bag. And so every year or every few months for the rest of our lives, we need to learn to do new things. Now I'm going to tell you about the German and the English study which were recently done regarding juggling. Do you know about this study?
No, I don't.
Okay, so in Germany, they took a group of people, and they said, we would like you to go out, to go home and practice juggling for 20 minutes a day for 2 months. And they took a functional magnetic resonance image of their brain. And then they took a group from the population. Maybe these people were students, maybe I don't know, just the people that were juggling. I don't know what part of the population they were. But they took what's called a control group of people who weren't going to be doing the practicing of the juggling to learn to juggle and so forth. And so in 2 months, this group of people that have been practicing juggling came back, and they did a functional magnetic resonance image of their brain again, and they also did a functional magnetic resonance image of the control group. And they said to the control group, now, while we're doing this picture of your brain, I want you to think about juggling. And what kind of changes had occurred in their brains? The control group.
I'm guessing there was growth.
No change. Exactly. They didn't have anything. They didn't have anything to think about. They hadn't been practicing anything. They weren't even told. They weren't even told. They weren't even told to think about juggling. It was just a control group. They just took a picture of it. Okay. So now, of the people that had been sent off to spend this time, a couple of months, 20 minutes a day juggling, about half of them learned to do it well, juggle pretty well. The other half were still dropping and having trouble. Okay. So what about when these people thought about, what happened when these people thought about the ones that learned to do it well, when they thought about juggling?
Now I'm guessing those guys had a lot of growth, actually. Right? A lot of activity.
They had an astounding, their brains lit up like a Christmas tree. Now, what about the people who had been practicing but didn't learn to do it very well?
Did they get the same benefits?
perfect. You are perfect. It does, and the implication is it doesn't make any difference how well you learn to play jacks, how well you learn to do chopsticks with your left hand, how well you learn to juggle. It's the fact that you're just trying to do it that causes the big changes in the brain, which is absolutely, absolutely wonderful news, because all somebody has to do is go out and practice. I have people sit in a chair and pick up marbles with their toes and drop them in a bowl. And then I have them, when that gets easy, I have them stand up, and with their hand on the back of a chair, they stand up and they pick up marbles with their toes, and with the grabbing a hold of the back of a chair, put a hand on the table so they don't fall over, pick up marbles and drop them in a bowl. Both feet, always, from now on, always, always, always train both hands and both feet. Anytime you're going to train one to do something new, you train the other with the same exercise, and you'll have this wonderful benefit in this, it's called neurogenesis, new brain cells, and then new pathways, which is neuroplasticity. You're going to be building your brain with this stuff. Anyway, so I have people pick up marbles, drop them in a bowl. Then when that gets too easy, I have them freestand and close to the table, so they are close to the chair, so that if they lose their balance, they can reach over. I don't want any lawsuits about this. I don't want anybody falling over, because Jepson said this. I didn't say to stand up, and anyway, I said to stand up, and where they can grab a hold of something if they lose their balance. And now they put the bowl up on a chair, and so now the bowl is 18 inches higher. So they pick up marbles, both feet, left and right, and drop them in a chair. Now when that gets easy, I put the bowl up on a table. I put that, and now pick up marbles with both hands, both feet rather, and drop them in a bowl. And then when that gets too easy, I say, now put a patch over one eye, and then pick up marbles with your feet and drop them in the bowl. And I continually ratchet up the difficulty of these very, very simple little things I have people do. I take a I take a cafeteria tray. It's got it's a plastic thing with a little rim around the edge. You know, okay. And I draw lines on it. I cross them in the center, and I draw a great big circle. And I say to the audience, sitting down, I said, now how many in here, sitting down, we put a tennis ball on here, are going to be able to keep this tennis ball on this tray? And of course they all can. It's got a fence around it. The tennis ball can't roll off. Okay, now I say, and I've drawn these lines on here. How many of you can follow the lines on the tray? Okay. Now, how many of you can follow the circle? That's much more difficult than the straight lines. Okay, now, folks, let's stand up. Let's stand up and do that. Okay, now, folks, let's stand up and balance on one foot and do it. Okay, now, folks, let's cover one eye, stand up on one foot, and follow these lines on the tray you've drawn. I'm telling you, Kevin, when people do this kind of stuff, it is absolutely supercharged in the way that it changes the brain, but it's simple stuff. Another thing that I do is I take a piece of plywood, a board that's about 10 inches wide and 2 feet long, and a nice smooth board, and I put it on the floor, and I put a book under one side. And so now I have this very, very low ramp. And I have people pick up a marble. They've been practicing, so now they can pick up a marble, and they drop it at the top of the ramp, and then they quickly retrieve that marble with the other foot before it rolls off the bottom of the ramp. And now to increase the difficulty of that, they just pile lots and lots of books under there till that ramp they just keep jacking it up and jacking it up and jacking it up till it's a fairly steep ramp, and the ramp or marble is going to roll off very quickly. I can do it with that ramp cranked way up so that it rolls. I drop it, I pick it up with my right foot, and quickly catch it before it rolls off the bottom with my left, and then I've got it on my left, I drop it at the top and quickly catch it. I do that over and over, and I do it with the ramp standing on both sides of the ramp, so I'm catching it going to the right and to the left with both feet, right and left foot, and jacking up the difficulty. And then when that gets too easy, I put on a patch over one eye. Now you really do. Now, Kevin, you really do know everything I know.
Wow. Yeah. So that begs the question: what is a typical day for you?
Well, I bicycle 12 miles every other day or more. And then when I come back, I've got this playground in my yard. In fact, as I peek out the window here, I've got my tightrope set up, my loose rope set up. I've got a vaulting bar. I got vaulting poles. I got a ladder I can climb up. I've got stones in the front yard. Just any one of these things I'm doing. I don't have any expectation, any hope at all that people are going to my Never Leave the Playground educational video that teaches the stuff with the marbles. There's no tightrope walking on that. There's no loose rope walking. There's no walking between stones. I want people to enrich their brains a fun, fast, and easy way, and I have no expectation that anybody's going to learn to juggle. If I go up in front of an audience and say, now we're all going to learn to juggle today, they would turn me off because almost everyone has had the experience of taking three objects, showing them up a few times, and they just all fall to the floor, and you become disenchanted with it. The balls roll around. That's another thing. I'm a learning theorist, so I take really, really difficult things, physical things for people to learn to do, and I have them learn to do it in a real fun, fast, and easy way. Have you ever made pottery on a potter's wheel?
No, not on a potter's wheel, but I've
okay, you've hand built.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen anybody throw pottery on a potter's wheel?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're not going to understand really what I'm saying here, but I've had people come to my school, the World Pottery Institute, or I do workshops around the country still. Most of my energy is devoted to this never leave the playground stuff, but I still teach pottery workshops around the country. And I can take a person who has never, ever touched clay on a spinning wheel. It's a very foreign thing. It's as foreign as learning to ride a unicycle or some of the other things I do. It's very foreign to have that clay spinning around. Now they're going to grab a hold of it and they're going to try to make something out of it. Well, I have had several people, well, if I take it as a challenge, I can do it with almost anybody, who I teach them to make a teapot in a week. They've never touched clay on a spinning wheel. I know of no other potter teacher in the world that can make that claim. I'm a learning theorist. I take very difficult things for people to learn to do physical things, and I break it down into tiny, tiny, tiny little steps so that people can have success every single day of their life. I mean, that's the crucial thing. That's if you can already use chopsticks with your right hand with facility, and now I say, well, now use your left. Teacher, you want to begin to use your non-dominant hand to do everything that you can. I eat breakfast with my non-dominant hand. My tendency is to say left hand, but some people are left-handed, so it doesn't communicate to them. Non-dominant hand. I open doors. I open containers. I use my non-dominant. I comb my hair. I shower. I shave myself with my non-dominant hand. You want to begin to do that as much as you possibly can. It is supercharged in the way that it will grow new brain cells because it's a new behavior. The first 500 times you do something are much more important than from 500 to 10,000. When I'm standing up in front of the audience, I say, now we've got a big container here and we've got a cup, and I'm going to fill that cup up with water and I'm going to dump it in that thing with no water in it. Now, how much have we changed that container? I mean, we're filling it up with we got a cup and we got a faucet. We're going to take water out of the faucet. We're going to take that cup, fill it up, and we're going to dump it in this big drum, this big barrel, this big container. Okay. So the change from 0 to 1 is infinite. It's astounding. It's a huge change. Yeah. Now we add 2. It's still a big change, and 1 cup is 1/2 of everything that's been done to that. And okay, so now let's say we put 499 cups in there, and we've changed it. Now we've got lots of cups in there. We've lots of memory, we've learned lots of things about this thing that we're practicing, and now we go from 499 to 500. How much have we changed that barrel? With that final cup.
500 cup, I wouldn't think much. Really.
Perfect. That's the concept.
Okay.
The first the first 500 times that you are doing something, you didn't know how to do it, and now you're putting this effort and this energy and this fun into learning this new physical thing, and you change your brain tremendously. That's why people who do 10,000 crossword puzzles or 10,000 Sudokus or 10,000 whatevers, or hitting a tennis ball 10,000 times, you're changing the brain a lot more in the very beginning than you are near the end of your training. Then it becomes just a tiny, tiny fraction, tiny increment.
I see. So really it's all about finding things that are challenging and difficult. That's going to give you the biggest benefit.
No, it doesn't have to be challenging and difficult. Is it going to be difficult to keep a tennis ball on a cafeteria tray sitting down?
No.
Okay, is it going to be? Yeah, but now are we jacking up the difficulty a little bit by drawing some lines on there and now following it?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now when we stand up and do that, is it going to be a little more difficult?
Yeah. So
And now when we stand up and do it on 1 foot, is it going to be a little more difficult?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, but you start out picking up marbles with your toes and dropping them in a bowl sitting down. Is that going to be difficult? Not for most people. It's not for most people. I'm telling you, Kevin,
Yeah.
it's not. This is what I do for a living. I mean, I teach this stuff, and most people can pick up a marble with their toes and drop it in a bowl.
Right.
Now, imagine is if we put that bowl up on a table, and we stand freestanding out in the room, and we pick up a marble with our toes. Is that more difficult than the first time when we sat down in the chair and picked up the marble?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's what I do, and I have dozens of things I've come up with that human beings that are all novel. Everything I do, and if it isn't novel, I got. In other words, if somebody says, "Oh, I can do that," or "I've done that," fine. I got another 50 or 60 that you haven't done. And then when you add all the permutations and combinations of what can be done with regard to the ramp and just on and on and on and on, you can just make it more difficult and something that's very, very easy and not much of a challenge. You can make it as much of a challenge. So challenging that most people, I can make it so difficult that people can't drop a marble on the top of a ramp and catch it before they come off. Yeah. But if it's just up a quarter of an inch, that marble rolls so slowly down that ramp. You just start out with this stuff, and I'm telling you, Kevin, it makes a hair on my neck stand up just thinking about it, because when I started to do this new stuff, I mean, I've been tightrope walking and doing all that, but when I began to come up with all these games and toys and planes, my memory made this big leap. I used to be sitting working on a project, and I'd need a little piece of sandpaper, or some acetone, or a little screwdriver, or some new pens or something. I would get up from where I was working, or I work standing up a lot. I've stood up almost all of my adult life, but I would go. I got 7,000 square feet here of buildings, and there's just stuff stacked everywhere. Tools. I used to have 2 kitties. I had those for years, and I stopped and pet my kitties, and they died recently. But anyway, so I'd forget. I'd say, "Oh my! I came out here looking for something." And I would have to go back to what I was doing. Have you ever had that experience? Okay, now it doesn't happen to me anymore. It happened to me once. It happened to me once a week ago that I couldn't. But normally, I just stop, and I just run the movie backwards, and I just start that movie right back at what I was doing. Oh, I needed a little piece of sandpaper. I needed some colored pencils. I needed some acetone. I needed whatever. I don't. My memory and my dreams. Oh, my dreams. I'm remembering them, and I'm having memories from the past that are, oh, so vivid. They just run like this beautiful movie of some wonderful thing with my family, or just some place I was as a kid.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, that's cool. So that's really the point, right? I mean, there's some physical fitness involved in doing this, but you seem to be tuned in to improving the way we think. Brain
growth. I'm turned into making so that people. Aunt Mildred. First of all, let's start with a statement.
Okay.
Some experts say that Alzheimer's and dementia the disease starts 30 years before you have any symptoms.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they've got this real sedentary behavior, and they just begin to. Okay, so Aunt Mildred begins to get Alzheimer's or dementia at 62 years old. She starts the disease, and she's not going to have any symptoms for 30 years. Okay, so Aunt Mildred lives as she at 89 years old. This wonderful old woman, Aunt Mildred, she falls in her kitchen and bumps her head, and gets knocked unconscious. Somebody in the family finds her. They take her to the hospital, and she's dead in 2 days, catastrophic brain injury. And the family says, "My God, how could that possibly be? Aunt Mildred was healthy as a horse. Why is she dead after that head bump?" And they do an autopsy, and they cut her head. They open up her noggin, and the doctors go back to the family and say, "Aunt Mildred had Alzheimer's and dementia." And the family says, "No, she didn't. She had a son in Hawaii who was an anesthesiologist, and she went there she flew there by herself every year and spent 2 weeks with her son. Aunt Mildred played croquet. Aunt Mildred pitched horseshoes. Aunt Mildred spoke 2 languages. Aunt Mildred went and volunteered at the hospital to help sick people as a gift. Aunt Mildred did this and that and this and that." People, she beat it. She beat the disease. With all of this physical activity and all this stuff she was doing, she had extra. It's called cognitive reserve. That guy Jepson down in Florida is about something called cognitive reserve. I create extra in the brain so that the amyloid plaque and those tangles or whatever they're finding in there that they think is indicative of that doesn't make any difference. If they got a little of that, they've got so much extra because of all this stuff that they did, mostly physical, that guarded against that kept them from getting that. And then I go on with Zeke, same thing. Zeke is at 64 begins the disease, whatever. And then he's 30 years, he's going to have some symptoms. So Zeke gets pneumonia at 90 years old and goes in the hospital and he's dead in 2 days. And the family says, "My God, Uncle Zeke was healthy as a horse was." And the family wants an autopsy. They cut up his noggin and they say, "Well, Uncle Zeke had all the symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia up here in his head." And the family says, they say he had Alzheimer's and dementia. And then the family says, no, he didn't. Yeah, he did. He still skied. He spoke 2 languages. He was a jeweler, made this beautiful jewelry, on and on and on. He just did all this stuff. He had created, because he was so active. Oh, and then I say to the audience, he beat it. He beat the disease. In other words, he never had any symptoms. If you never have any symptoms of Alzheimer's and dementia, it doesn't make any difference how much Alzheimer's and dementia you got. If you live to be 95 years old and you started it at 67, you beat it. You didn't. That's all that's important about that stuff, is you just don't want any symptoms. You want to be clear-headed right up until the day before you die, or the day you die. You want to be just 92, 87, 105, clear-headed, being able to speak those languages, being able to make your own meals, being able to do all this stuff on your own, Kevin.
Yeah, that's Alzheimer's is one of those things that scares me because it's. I've seen it in my family. I've seen, other people who had it, and it's always been a worry of mine. So I'm glad to hear.
Don't worry about it anymore, Kevin. Just begin to every year now for the rest of your life. Pick out something new. Say, I'm going to learn to keep a soccer ball. I'm pretending I'm Kevin. I'm going to learn to keep a soccer ball in the air for 10 consecutive catches. I just talked to somebody recently who said that if you can do that, if you can keep a soccer ball in the air for 10 consecutive catches, that you are very, very, your feet are very well trained. And anyway, that would cause tremendous changes in your brain. Or all this other stuff I do. You just pick out a few things and then practice them and get kind of good at it. Then pick out something new, and the brain thrives on the novel. That's another thing. Our noggins thrive on the new and the unique and the Are you there?
Yes, I am, yes.
Oh, okay.
You were saying that the brain thrives on the novel and unique.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, actually, because I just read an article about meditation, and one of the tips for busy people to meditate was to go out and seek out novel experiences. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that are there benefits beyond? So you're about cognitive reserve. You're about neogenesis, neoplasticity. Are there? What are some of the benefits of this beyond just preparing you to defend against Alzheimer's? Like, what do you get out of it?
Well, your balance, stability, and your coordination is improved. Your memory is improved. Your creativity, that's another thing. They'll find that they're solving problems just very, very quickly. When you begin to drop something in the kitchen, when you begin to fumble something, your hands will just reach out and just grab it right out of the air.
Yeah.
And your mood will change. And what I teach people is going to make people more beautiful. And then the audience says, "What?" And I said, "Well, if you're playing something and having fun, are you going to smile and be happy?" And in the audience, "Yeah." Well, is there not a face in the world that's not made more beautiful by a smile?
Good point.
And
that's a very good point.
Yeah, well, and then I tell them that they're going to be learning something new, and they're going to be just doing this and that and everything.
So how long have you been running this program now?
A few years. I started out going to senior centers, and as soon as I found the CDC figures well, I'll give them to you. Last year, 2 million, right at 2 million people over 65 fell down and went to the emergency room in the hospital. And of that 2 million, 1 million were admitted to the hospital. And of those 1 million that were admitted, the costs were billions. But of that 1 million that were admitted to the hospital, a certain percentage of them broke their hips. If you are over 65 and you fall and break a hip, 20% of that number is going to be dead in a year, and 80% is never going to live independently again.
Wow.
And I don't like those figures. So I began to go to senior centers and the university clubs and libraries anyway, it turned out that the people that came to my talk were 60, 70, 80, 90 years old. They all drove to my talk, and they'd sit there wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and be watching me talk about all my little things I'd come up with to train their balance and make their balance better. I was preaching to the choir. They were already living independently, driving around, buying their groceries, traveling to visit their family in Hawaii, and speaking extra languages, and doing cartography, and doing this and doing that, and just anything. And so I was preaching to the choir, and so I thought, that's not very gratifying to me. So I began to study and study and study, and I began to read about what all of this hand training and the stuff that I had done all of my life.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a book called Flow, F-L-O-W?
I haven't read it, but I have seen it.
Yeah, well, it's the guy with all those, he's got that long name with all those consonants in it. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay. I can't remember his name and I don't know how to pronounce it, but it starts out CZ, and it's just got all these, anyway. So I bought it about 30 years ago, and I was a potter with a international reputation. I started a ceramics department at a major American. Well, when I started the university, it was a tiny little school, and now it's the second largest college university in America. It's called the University of Central Florida. Anyway, I started their ceramics department in 1972, and I would be making pottery all day long, and time would pass, and I wouldn't be hungry. And I just was in la la land, just this wonderful, wonderful thing, just spinning out these pots. I could throw 1,000 pieces in a week and trim them. And there's very few people like me. And then I got this book, Flow, by this guy, and I began to read, and I said, my God, that's the way I spend my life, is in this transfixed, in this very relaxed, meditative state, spinning out these pots. So anyway, and I've studied, by the way, I've studied psychiatric medicine and psychology for the last 40 years. I took years ago, I took marriage and family counseling at graduate course. I took counseling the aged graduate course. I went to Albert Einstein Medical School and studied with two of the top psychiatrists in the world. And anyway, I wanted to know about mental health, and we all need a screaming partner, and I just wanted to be my own screaming partner. I really believe in physician heal thyself,
yeah.
And so I just wanted to keep myself well as best I could, and then I came up with this concept of that nobody seems to have. I connected the dots. We were hunter-gatherers for 1,800,000 years, and we were lean, machines, just sinewy with, and hunter-gatherers, they don't starve to death. There's no potato famine for hunter-gatherers. When you get all totally dependent on one crop, and then you get potato rotting in the fields, 1 million Irishmen died from potato famine.
Yeah.
1 million. And starved to death. Anyway, agriculture is responsible for everything you see around you. Everything, airplanes, art, Manhattan, anything you want to look at. It's agriculture. It happens since agriculture, but it's gonna kill us. It's gonna people. We used to have to move to eat, and now there's food on every corner, and every refrigerator is full of food. We no longer have to move to eat, but we have to move to remain vital. We have to move to remain healthy, Kevin.
Yeah, I can see that. I feel like I'm slacking off just doing this interview right now. I want to get out and start moving and walking and lifting marbles with my toes all of a sudden.
Right. That's another thing. I'm changing your brain just by you thinking about these things. In other words, you laugh.
That's good. I'm laughing because I agree. I like it. I love it.
Yeah. Anyway, this is what I do. I'm making the world a healthier place.
And that's amazing. And when I first encountered you, I was so inspired. I saw an interview with you. I don't remember who did it actually, but
the Growing Boulder people.
Possibly. I mean, it was a whole lot of clips of you in your yard with your. I'm looking at this rail that you're jumping over and thinking, "Holy cow! I don't know if I could. If
Oh,
I
you
could.
could. Yeah, you just start with the rail going all the way to the ground. I didn't need to start with it all the way at the ground, but you
Yeah.
just start with it all the way at the ground, and you can just step over it, and pretty soon you're hopping over it, and pretty soon you're hopping over it with a little zesto, and then pretty soon you've got a zippy hop there, and now you're jumping, and now you're just if it's up, it goes up at an angle, you just go up and up and up and up that thing, and pretty soon we used to walk through my hometown of Sioux City, Iowa, when I was a kid, put my hand on a parking meter and vaulted, and just walk right down the street, vaulting every parking meter for blocks at a time.
Yeah. I remember doing a lot of stuff like that, right?
Exact. How old are you?
I'm 42.
Oh, just a kid.
Yeah. Especially compared to you. Wow, you're 74, or you're going to be 74.
Yeah, I'll be 74. I'll go back up and swim. I swam the biggest lake in Iowa when I was 16. I was a swimmer in high school. I had a wonderful coach and a wonderful time in high school back in Iowa. Anyway, I swam it when I was the biggest lake in Iowa, Spirit Lake, when I was 16, and posted a time. And then I didn't have anybody else's time, so as far as I was concerned, that was the record. And I came back the next year. I came back the next year at 17, and I broke my record by a lot because I had gotten a little stronger. Oh, and before I swam it the first time, then told people, the newspaper and everybody, and told the world I was going to swim. I swam it 2 or 3 days before I told anybody, just to see if I could do it. And well, anyway, I thought, well, it's 4 6/10 miles and open water swimming, and that's a pretty good swim. Back in the 50s, people weren't doing that kind of stuff. There were no these astounding competitions for people, Ironman competitions and so forth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then I didn't swim it the year I was All-American. I just had a lot of other things going on and was going off to college, and so I didn't do it. But I swam it when I was 60, 65, 70, and I'll be 75 in a year, and I'm going to go back up and do it again when I'm 75. That thing that I swam at 16, 17, 60, 65, 70, and 75.
Very good. That's good.
Not,
I can't wait to see.
Not too bad for a fuzzy-headed kid from Geneva. Where do you live?
I'm in the Houston, Texas area. I'm not far from you, actually. I'm not that far from you. As the crow flies.
Right. My son lives in Dallas.
Oh, okay. All right.
And he's a movie maker and does ads, makes movies and ads for Mercedes-Benz company, but he made movies out in Hollywood for a while. He worked for a Fox affiliate in Dallas for years as the guy that would go out and film the accidents or film the important people that were coming to town. He'd do that. He doesn't do that anymore. He's independent now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm up against my mark. This is where I usually wrap up, and this has been a fantastic conversation, mostly because I've been able to just kind of relax and listen, because I normally I have to keep thinking ahead, but you were very enthusiastic, so I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate your asking me to do this, and you can be so comfortable telling your audience, well, you've seen me, and they can go on the internet and they can just Google my name, Stephen Jepson, and I fill up the pages with. Yeah. I'm in Wikipedia. Everything I've done is documented, but not everything. No, lots haven't been documented, but a lot, and I'm for real. Yeah. I help people. I change people's lives. People come up to me and they say, "What you're doing is life changing," and they say, "Oh, I'm so inspired." And it about brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah, that's a reason to do just about anything right there. I really appreciate that. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up, but I really am grateful for you taking the time. I am super motivated right now. I'm probably going to I'm probably going to go buy a bag of marbles here.
It's a good
over
start.
lunch.
Well, I've got a educational video, and it's relatively inexpensive, and you can just buy it as a DVD, and then you can share it to your mother and father, and you can share it with your family and have it for 50 years. It also comes as a download, and that's what my tech guy. I don't know anything about the internet, but I'm studying this and traveling the world sharing this message.
Yeah.
And for me to learn a lot about, well, you're going to be real interested to go to YouTube and find out what I think about cell phones.
Okay.
But
I probably will.
There's no reason to get into that now.
I will look into that, and maybe in a future show I'll have you back on. We can just talk cell phones for an hour.
We didn't talk for an hour. We've been talking for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's been about 5 minutes, hasn't it? I think so.
Yeah, 5. That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
So, your website is neverleavetheplayground.com, right?
Absolutely, and my name is Stephen, Stephen, Jepson, and if all they've got to know is my name, and they can find out all about me. And if they're interested in pottery, did you go to my Jepson Pottery website?
I have not. No, I'll go. What's the website? What is it?
Jepson Pottery. Well,
okay. Well, that's a tough one.
JepsonPottery.com. But I have the Smithsonian purchased 10 pieces of my work.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, and I chaired the panel at the National Convention for people who do what I do. I have had almost every honor that you can possibly have as an artist and craftsman. That's my other life.
That's great.
And I built boats. I skateboard decks. I skateboard 20 miles at a time. I can push equally well with my right foot and my left foot, and I'm 70, going on 74 years old.
That's fantastic. That's exactly why I wanted to talk to you, because I do some coaching, and I help people kind of figure out how to shape their lives and shape their story. And so, this is something that, it fascinates me. The idea of brain growth fascinates me. I believe everyone has like unlimited potential. And
yes.
I think that you are living proof of that. So thank you again so much for being on the show. So,
you're welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure. And Let's make the world a healthier place, Kevin.
Absolutely. That's one of my goals. So 2015 and forward, we're going to do that.
Okay.
So everybody out there listening, this is your chance. You can go and check out Stephen's website, neverleavetheplayground.com, learn a lot more about what he has created here. Get that DVD or do that download. I'm definitely going to do that. And go check him out.
Thank you.
Also
Thank you, Kevin. That's a very nice thing to say.
No,
Thank you very much.
I'm absolutely in. So
yeah, okay, good. Well, you have a wonderful rest of the year, and stay in touch. And send me a link to where I can listen. I can send what you're doing, so I can send it to my audience.
I absolutely will. Thanks a lot, Stephen, for being on the show. I'll follow up via email. I'll let you know everything you need to know.
You're welcome, sir. Bye.
All right, take care. Well, that was Stephen Jepson, who is a firecracker, man. That dude, he's full of energy, and I like that. I want to be full of energy, too, which is why I want to start doing some of the things that he's doing, among other things. There's plenty of room for iterative growth in your life, and, you can do small things and have a big impact. Just start stacking those things up, and suddenly you find that you've grown a lot more than you ever thought you could. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, by the way, there are plenty of, first, let's give our big shout out and nod back to Stephen. You need to go check him out at neverleavetheplayground.com. And you can, there's a mailing list you can join there. You can watch a lot of videos of him in action. He's got a blog that, gives you tips on how to do this stuff. It's just amazing. It's all about, as he said, he states in the interview, it's all about neogenesis and neoplasticity and, increasing your cognitive reserve. And that's all sounds really technical and fancy until you break it down into it's just about realizing your potential and thinking clearer and thinking better, despite what you might have believed before. You're not necessarily going to lose this stuff with age. You can, start working now to increase, your cognitive reserve, your ability to think. So do it. Go out and find an activity, find something new, get some new experiences. There's all kinds of simple ways you can start. Like right now on the drive into work, you can choose to take a different route instead of your normal route. That's a minor one, but it gets you to think. You have to replot and recourse, and read some books that are outside the genre that you usually like to read. Stretch yourself a little. Go out and find new activities. Learn how to play hacky sack. Get really good at one thing and then switch to another. It's master a skill with your right hand and then learn it with your left. I mean, it's really pretty fascinating. So, I'm working on this stuff. I'm really pleased with the results I'm getting so far. I've experienced, I've got a better outlook, a better attitude. I'm much more positive and energetic, and I'm getting better every day. So you can too. Go check out Stephen Jepson online at neverleavetheplayground.com. And if you are a fan of this show, I would ask that you help me out a little. I am now running a Patreon campaign. And you can get to that at patreon.com/Kevin Tumlinson, or you can find it on the website at kevintumlinson.com/ fund me is the /, but there's a button right there in the menu that says fund me. And the way this works is you just, you commit to as little as $1, and it's, every month. So you get 4 episodes a month of the Word Slinger, and you could basically support the show with just $1 per month, which means you get 4 episodes for $1. I mean, that's $0.25 a piece. I mean, you can't beat that deal anywhere. So if you want to give more, I appreciate more. But, the producing this show, it takes time out of my week. It takes, a couple hours a week I spend doing interviews, doing the production, more than a couple hours, sometimes as much as 5 hours a week. If you think about that in the terms, that's in everyday terms, I mean, that's practically a work day. So, but I enjoy doing it. I love doing it, and I'll always do it. So you don't have to give a dime in order to keep getting this stuff. You'll always get it for free. But if you feel like you might want to keep me around, keep this going, and you want to support it, I support you supporting it. So go to patreon.com/Kevin Tumlinson, or go to kevintumlinson.com and click Fund Me, and there'll probably be some links to that in the show notes as well. So I appreciate every dollar I can get, and thank you so much. If you have questions for me or my guests, you can call me at 281-809-9673. That's 281-809-WORD. 9673. And if you leave me a voicemail, I'll play it on the air, but I'll also forward things to my guests, which has happened a few times. I get emails and phone calls that don't necessarily want to be played on air, so that's fine too. If you just want to pass something along, that's great. You can also leave me a voicemail if you're international, living somewhere other than the United States. In other words, you can go on my website at kevintumlinson.com/podcast and click on the little orange tab that's on the right-hand side of the screen that says leave a voicemail, and you can actually record a voicemail directly from your computer, so it doesn't cost you a thing. So, yeah, there you go. I hope you do. And, thank you for your support, no matter how you give it, whether it's money or whether it's just, being a listener. If you could go on and just rate me on iTunes, give me 4 or 5 stars there. The more the better. And, give me a positive review so we can help people find the show. I got a lot of really inspiring guests. I got a lot of really great stories here. And I love sharing this stuff, and I will always share this stuff one way or another. So thank you for spending the time with me and my guests. I know they appreciate it too. So that's it for this week. Tune in next week when we have another special guest, Greg McBride, who is the author of, he's the author of a couple of things. Just Stop Eating So Much is one of those, and that's based on his blog. But he also wrote Weightless, which is the story of how he lost 250 pounds and kept it off. Basically lost my body weight. He basically lost an entire word slinger and kept it off. So, you're going to want to tune in for that. So that's it for this week. Take care. Come visit me at kevintumlinson.com/podcast. And don't forget to give me a call at 281-809-WORD. That's 9673. Talk to you next week.
word slinger.